Hi guys, what are we gonna do today? You know what? This is what we're gonna do today. We're gonna do this cute little pumpkin mat. Whether you want to put a candle on here, pumpkin pie for Thanksgiving, or even use it for your plates. Use them as placemats. Let's get started. So I had this beautiful old quilt and I just cut the blocks out. These were the size of the blocks that were on the quilt. And then with the back being white, I decided to use my beautiful pumpkin stencil. So I am utilizing both sides. So I have a piece of quilt here and I had cut them in blocks, and I found that these charger plates are 14 inches and that's the size I wanted. I took a pen. Since I was covering the edges with the trim anyway, I was not concerned. So after I've drawn that, I am just going to cut this out. So if you happen to cut out quilt blocks and you're gonna have all these triangles thinking, what could I do with those? Thought, well, how cute. You could even do a fun little bunting with the triangles. So I'm gonna use my Pixie spray, and this is a repositionable adhesive. And I just spray the back, let it set for a minute or so, and it works quite a few uses. Mine is still tacky, so that's why I am not going to respray it. On this quilt, because you're gonna have an up and down, you really want to make sure this is on here nicely so you don't get a lot of bleed through. So all I'm going to do is center my pumpkin. Now this is going to seem odd how I'm going to be doing this because it's like I'm going to be stenciling it almost twice. I'm going to tape off these areas that are close to this so I don't accidentally get paint anywhere I do not want it. So if you click on the link below the video in the description, will have a link to where I got this stencil from. So the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use my orange paint. And I wanna paint the actual pumpkin orange before I stencil the brown on it. So to know where that needs to go, actually all I really need to do is go around these outside edges. And I'm doing it with the orange. Now you definitely wanna go just up and down with this. And if you really wanted this to be very, very soft, GAC 900, which is a medium you can mix with your paints to make it softer. For the project I was doing, I didn't feel like I needed to do that. So what I'm gonna do is lift this up, and I am going to paint this in orange. So I'm gonna let this layer of orange paint dry. It should dry fairly quickly, and then we'll do the brown stencil over the top. So what we need to do, this is dry. I'm gonna line the stencil up, and you wanna be sure this is lined up exactly where it needs to go. I can see the top of the stem, I can see these edges, I can see this edge. I'm pressing it back down, and now I'm going to use my brown paint. Now with this, I've got paint on my brush and I'm going to tap off. You do not want it too wet. You really want it more of a dry brush. Once again, I'm just gonna do an up and down motion. And now let's just let this dry and we'll put our trim on. This is the GAC 900 that I was telling you about, and it's through Golden. We'll have a link there, it's on my favorite things. But this is what you would use to mix with your paint if you were doing it on a fabric and you wanted it softer, like a t-shirt or something else. I haven't played a lot with it with stencils. You just need to make sure that it's not so juicy that it's going to bleed through your stencil. When your piece has dried and all your paint is dry, I'm gonna use a trim around the outside. I'm using Sari Silk. This is what it looks like a lot of times when you're going to get it. When you lay it down and iron it, it gets much, much wider. So I have ironed these open, so I have a little more to work with, and I'm gonna put this around as my trim. If you didn't want to do a trim, you know, this is really nice too, or you could just do a hand blanket stitch. You could use any type of fiber you would want for a trim. I'm gonna start at the bottom, and I'm first of all gonna lay it so one end is at the edge and the rest is going into it. And I'm gonna do a sewing machine stitch all the way around. Then we'll turn it back and hand sew it. So I'm just gonna do a straight stitch, and I'm just going probably about a 1/4 inch from the edge and sewing this down. Now, if you were not using Sari Silk and you were using a fabric that was two-sided, you want to make sure the right sides are together. So when I get to this end, I'm going to overlap maybe 1.5 inches and continue to sew. And then I will just trim this excess off. So after you've sewn that, you're going to have your pieces up here. If you feel better doing that, you can iron this flat. I am just going to take it, flip it over to the back. And if it's too thick and bulky still up here, be careful you don't cut your lines, but you can also trim some of this excess off. So I'm going to start hand sewing where my ends are, and I'm just going to do a whip stitch all the way around. So I finished sewing this, so what you would probably do next is take a piece of parchment paper, put it over the top, and with your iron, you're going to heat set this. And then you're done. Now you can enjoy your beautiful placemat. So whether you use this, like this, with this cute stencil, maybe a Christmas stencil, or you just use the back sides and you add a cute little tree to the top. You could even make them smaller and make cute coasters. Hope you guys give this a try. Thanks for watching, but have fun.